I'm going to do the cord when my hands are clean. So I'm just going to take a little bit of water. I've got a little bit of cotton wool here and I'm going to clean the cord, so I'm going right down to the base of the cord. Go right down to the base. Now the cord stump is clamped at delivery to prevent bleeding. That cord stump is going to get darker over the first couple of days. It's going to fall off in about 5 or 6 days. And when the cord stump falls off, the cord clamp falls off with it. You're left with an oozy area that stays oozy for nearly 12 days. And you clean it for nearly 12 days. And in 12 days, they look like you and I, and you forget about them. If it ever gets inflamed, foul smelling, bleeding, always take your baby to a doctor or a clinic. Make sure the room is nice and warm. Make sure the place is all clean around you and that you have all your equipment available to you before you start to bath. From once you start bathing your baby, from once you start changing your baby, you cannot go to another area of the room to get anything else because babies can roll off at any age, fracture an arm, leg, skull. So it's very important to stay with your baby when you're on a surface like this. You put your cold water in first, you add your hot, you just check it with your elbow. If it's comfortable for your elbow, it's fine for the baby. It's about 36 degrees centigrade, the water temperature. Again, I have all my equipment here. I have the towel, so I have everything ready to go. Babies sometimes will cry quite a bit when they go into the bath initially because they're been in clear, lying in there very cozy for 9 months, and now they're out and we're changing them, and they're also getting used to the new world. So be very, very gentle, take it easy. You put your hand underneath the baby's head like that. You just took the baby under your elbow resting on your hip. Sometimes babies get sticky eyes where their ducts don't function that well initially. So that's why we night clean them, keep them nice and clean. Now I'm holding the baby in the same position and I'm going to wash the baby's hair. If you're using a solution or buy something that's unperfumed and they don't need too many smelly products, as I said earlier, just wash the baby's hair. Just bring up the water, just wash the baby's hair. Nice and gently. Don't be worried about the head because there are 2 little soft parts in the head called fontanelles. One closed over in 8 months, the other closed over in 18 months. So just wash it nice and gently. This is a very good baby. And I'm going to come back onto my mat and I'm going to lie the baby back down and I'm going to dry the baby's head well. Babies lose a lot of heat from their heads, so make sure that you dry the baby's head very well. Now, when you're lifting the baby into the bath, just turn the baby over on its side, over in this position. Just put one arm, your left arm, underneath the head and hold on to the left arm. And put your right arm underneath the bottom and hold on to the left leg. Now you see there is no way this baby's going to fall on me. I've got the head well supported with my arm here on the left and I've got a good grip of the baby. Nice and gently. Now nice and gently you're going to let the baby into the bath. Just, if the baby's enjoying it, of course, just leave them in for a little while. Babies are very used to water from being inside, so they love the sound of the water. I'm going to lift the baby out again. Now you see I'm lifting the baby out nice and gently. Now, see, you settle them down, give them a little cuddle, settle them down, and then you're going to dry the baby off well. Don't forget areas where they can get sore if you leave them wet. All babies are quite fat in here, so get right in there under the chin, because if you leave areas wet, they're going to get red and sore. They're all get right onto the armpit here, where they're like that. And another areas get right onto the, behind the knees and in the groin area. They're areas that can actually get sore if you leave them wet. So you make sure that you dry those areas off very well.
Breastfeeding is the very best start you can give your baby in life. It is a very special, unique formula, tailor-made for babies. It actually protects your baby against all known infections, particularly ear infections and chest infections, and also protects your baby against viruses. We now know that breast milk also helps develop your baby's nervous system. For you, breastfeeding is really good. It helps you build up a unique bond with your baby, because when you breastfeed, you release lots of lovely hormones that help and aid this bonding. It also helps you get your figure back, because you burn up 500 calories more per day when you breastfeed. And it has a great protection against ovarian cancer, breast cancer and osteoporosis.
While you're still pregnant and in the early days after the birth, your breasts begin to produce a substance called colostrum. This is extremely easy for your baby to digest, making it the perfect first food. The first hours after delivery is the ideal time to get started on your breastfeeding. If you feed your baby whenever they're hungry, you'll produce plenty of milk to meet their needs. Your breasts produce milk in response to the baby's feeding. So the more you feed, the more milk you'll produce. Supply meets demand. Every time your baby feeds, your milk supply is being built up. How your baby is attached to the breast is key to the success of breastfeeding. This is called latching on. When your baby is in position, wait until their mouth is open wide. You can tease it open by gently pressing the upper lip with your nipple. Bring your baby to your breast, the chin and lower lip first. Baby's mouth should cover all your nipple and about 1 inch of the brown circle, the areola, around your nipple. Your nipple should touch the roof of the baby's mouth with his tongue underneath. Once your baby has a good latch on, there'll be a period of quick suckling to get the milk flowing, and then rhythmic suckling. When your baby is properly attached to your breast, you'll notice that his mouth is wide open with a big mouthful of breast, and his top and bottom lip are curled out, like the letter K. His cheeks are full and rounded, and his chin is pressed into your breast. The suckling pattern changes from short sucks at the beginning to long, deep sucks with pauses.
There are many different ways to position and attach your baby, but there's some key principles. So I'm going to talk you through a number of different holds. The first thing I would say to mums is get yourself comfortable.
Finding a position that suits you and your baby is important for successful breastfeeding. Make sure you're comfortable and well supported. Use pillows or cushions if necessary. And whether you're sitting up or lying down, keep a drink close by, and most of all, relax.
There's some new research out on a new position for breastfeeding called biological nurturing, and this actually works very well in attaching a baby on a breast. In this position, the mother is not sitting up bolt right upright or lying down. She's semi-inclined and she's lying the baby on top of her body. And in this position, the baby actually self-attaches. This hold now, if you put the baby in what's called the crook of your arm, lying along your forearm, and position the baby with its tummy to mummy's tummy, we call it tummy to tummy, with the baby in a straight line. And if you tuck the baby's bum under your other breast, it makes for very good alignment. Then we encourage mothers in the early days of breastfeeding to support their breast with feeding. You can do this by going in onto the breast with a C hold. Now, mothers often instinctively go in with a V hold, but that'll actually make your nipple very sore. So if you support the breast in a C hold with the under finger well away from the areola, that will actually make a very good shape of the breast for your baby. It's tummy to tummy, it's nose opposite nipple, and it's a C hold on the breast, and when the baby opens his mouth, you bring the baby swiftly onto the breast. So we say bring the baby to the breast and not the breast to the baby. This will actually make for very good attachment. Another variation of this hold is actually something called the cross cradle hold, and a lot of new mums like to initiate this with breastfeeding because they feel they have a lot of control in the actual initiation of the latch. In this, it's similar to the first hold, except you're doing the C hold with your other hand, and you're holding the baby's back and neck with the baby in straight alignment again. So it's very important that you hold the baby's back and neck, and again you're supporting the breast in a C shape. And you're bringing the baby to the breast, waiting for the baby to make a large open mouth, and when it makes a large open mouth, you're swiftly bringing it onto the breast, and then you can put your arm around the baby like this. and relax into a nice comfortable breastfeed. There's another hold you can use for breastfeeding called the rugby hold or the football hold. So in this hold you support the baby's back and neck, let the baby lie along your arm and tuck the baby underneath your breast. And in this position you use the same principles of nose opposite nipple and bring the baby to the breast with a wide open mouth. This is a very good position to use for babies, particularly twins. Another way of breastfeeding your baby is lying on your side with your baby tucked up beside you. A lot of mums breastfeed lying down in bed, particularly late during the night. With this, the mother lies on the bed with 2 pillows, usually her head on the pillow and her shoulders on the bed, and tucks her baby up beside her, nose opposite nipple. Again, it would be the same principles of bringing the baby swiftly onto the breast when the baby makes a wide open mouth. This is a really comfortable way to feed a baby. There are lots of good indicators that breastfeeding is going very well by looking at your baby's output. In the first couple of days, the babies have very little wet nappies, and ideally 1 wet nappy. Day 1, 2, day 2, 3, day 3, and when your milk comes in on day 5, the baby will normally have about 6 wet nappies in 24 hours. This is a really good indication the baby is breastfeeding well. Another very good indication is actually looking at the stools. And babies have meconium stools for the first day or 2. And they have a changing stool, which is usually black, green or brown, day 2, day 3, day 4. And when your milk comes in, a baby who's breastfeeding really well will have 3 to 4 yellow seedy stools in 24 hours. If your baby has these sort of stools, the baby is breastfeeding very well.
Your breastfeeding is going well when your baby is alert and waking for feeds, has a minimum of 5 or 6 wet nappies and 2 soiled nappies per day after the first week, has gained weight, sleeps and settles during the day, and is feeding comfortably and pain-free.
If a baby is not correctly latched on your breast, you won't see rounded cheeks, you'll see dimpled cheeks. You'll also see the baby doing very short little sucklings as opposed to long rhythmic sucklings, or you may see a lot of the areola. In that case, you also may feel a lot of discomfort feeding. So if that happens, it's very important to break the latch and start again. And the best way to do that is actually put your finger into the baby's mouth and let the baby actually suck on your finger and break the latch very gently. Signs that breastfeeding may not be going as well for you is if the baby is not wetting and dirtying its nappies. So particularly in the early days, if you look for urates in the nappy, which is pink staining, and if the baby is not passing sufficient wet and dirty nappies, it would be very good to contact a health professional to help you with your breastfeeding.
Infant formula can provide the correct nutrients for your baby, but cannot provide the protection against illness. As it can take some time before a newborn's immune system develops, all equipment must be washed well and sterilised before feeding.
It's very important to keep all equipment used for baby feeding thoroughly clean. It doesn't matter whether it's breast or bottle feeding, we're talking bottles, teats, breast pumps. They need to be washed thoroughly and then sterilised. This is to prevent babies getting infections.
There will be clear and detailed instructions on the packaging of the formula you use. Make sure you follow them precisely. To prepare a bottle feed, boil fresh tap water in a kettle. When it's boiled, leave it to cool in the kettle for 30 minutes, but no longer. Clean the work surface well and wash and dry your hands. Remove the lid from the steriliser and take out the bottle, the teat and the cap using tongs. Carefully pour the required amount of boiled water into the bottle. Use clean scoop provided. Add the exact amount of formula to the boiled water. Remember, adding too much or too little formula could make your baby sick. Reseal the packaging to protect it from germs and moisture. Screw the bottle lid tightly and shake well to mix the contents. To check the feed is not too hot, shake the bottle and place a drop of liquid on the inside of your wrist. It should feel lukewarm, not hot. To cool the feed down quickly, hold the bottle under cold running water or place it in a large bowl of cold water, making sure the water doesn't reach above the neck of the bottle. Your newborn will probably take between 2 and 4 ounces per feed during the first few weeks and will probably be hungry every 2 to 4 hours. This is only a guideline, and it's recommended to feed your baby whenever and as often as they look for food. Do not try and make your baby finish a bottle if they don't want to, and never reuse leftover milk once your baby finishes feeding.
There are hunger cues to look out for. Babies will stick out their tongue, they may pout their lips, they may put their hand in their mouths, they may eventually start crying, but don't let your baby cry too much before a feed because they can take in quite a lot of air, which can cause discomfort for them later on.
When babies feed, especially from a bottle, they take in air. They can also take in air if they cry before feeding. If the air isn't brought up, it can get trapped and cause discomfort later on. There are some common positions for winding, but use whatever suits you and your baby best. Try holding your baby, leaning against your shoulder and rubbing or patting their back. It's a good idea to put a towel or a cloth over your shoulder in case more than wind comes up. Another position is sitting your baby upright on your lap, supporting him under his chin and rubbing his back. Or lying your baby face down across your lap and gently rubbing or patting their back can also be a good way of bringing up wind.
When you take your baby home initially, babies don't know the difference between day and night, so they really will sleep and eat and sleep and eat. Newborn babies can sleep for almost 16 to 18 hours a day, so it takes a little while for them to get into their routine. Their tummy's small, so they need to feed frequently. It is important to get the right environment from the word go and to get routines in place. And it's terribly important to keep your baby in the bedroom with you, asleep in their own cot for the first 6 months of their lives. It's important to get the temperature of the room right for your baby. The temperature that's recommended is 16 to 20 degrees centigrade. Make sure your baby's not lying near, cot's not near a radiator, a window where the sun's shining in. Just that they're comfortable but not overheated. And sometimes if the weather's colder, you may need extra blankets. If it's warmer, you can take a blanket off. The message really is, if it's comfortable for you, it's comfortable for your baby. If it's too hot or too cold for you, it's similar for your baby. It takes a little while for babies to get into a nice routine. This will come eventually, but initially you have to try and establish a nice routine. Feed your baby regularly during the day. Don't let babies go for longer than 4 hours during the day without a feed, particularly breastfeeding babies. Bottle-fed babies generally feed 3 to 4 hourly. Then during the night, when you're putting baby to bed, try and have a nice calm environment. It would be very nice if you could bath your baby before you last feed, because babies can sleep very well after a bath. Settle them down, nice calm voice, a little bit of baby massage if you can. And in the night time, when babies wake up in the night, keep everything dark and dull. No bright lights, no chat to the baby whatsoever. Just feed them, change them and put them down quickly. And soon baby will know the difference between day and night. But that can take a couple of weeks. It's very important that the baby is lying on a good firm mattress, back to sleep, feet to foot. Make sure there's no duvets, bumpers, pillows, nothing that can obstruct the baby's airway. A blanket should be at shoulder level, tucked well onto the mattress. And the blankets that we recommend are cotton cellular blankets. They're the only blankets that are really recommended for the first year of life. It's very important to sleep your baby safely, and the message is back to sleep, feet to foot position. And the reason for this is that the baby can't go down onto the blankets. The only way they can go is up. So it's terribly important to have them feet to foot, back to sleep. And this is also a reason why we don't suggest you sleep with your baby in your bed, because babies can roll under heavy warm duvet and can smother.
A birth may be registered in any civil registration office, regardless of where the birth took place. The staff in the hospital where your child was born will be able to advise you of the location of your local civil registration office. Parents are required by law to register the birth of their child no more than 3 months from the date of the birth. Birth certificates are needed for many purposes, for example, enrolling your child in school or when applying for a passport, etc. The hospital notifies the Civil Registration Service of all births that take place. It should be noted that this is the birth notification process and does not mean that the birth is registered. The registration of the birth is carried out based on information provided by a qualified informant. Parents are the primary qualified informants and must attend personally to complete the birth registration and sign the Register of Births. All parents will need to bring photo identification, such as a current passport or driver's licence, parents' personal public service numbers, otherwise known as PPSN numbers. Married couples must produce their original marriage certificate and a certified translation into English or Irish if required. In the case of married couples, it is only necessary for one parent to attend, but both may attend should they wish. Where one parent attends, then only one signature will appear on the birth certificate. There are different requirements for registration purposes where the mother and father are not married to each other and where the mother has been party to a previous marriage. In this case, we strongly advise you to contact your local civil registration office for further advice. The surname of a child to be entered in the Register of Births shall be the surname of the mother or father or a combination of both. It may be subject to linguistic or cultural modification with the approval of the Superintendent Registrar. The birth certificate will contain information about the child and the parents, which is given at the time of registration. So it is important that this information is accurate and care should be taken by the qualified informant before signing the register, as it is difficult to amend details after the birth is registered. There is no fee charged for the registration of a birth, and for all other fees see our website at www.hse.ie.